You have to stop putting yourself in the shoebox. Your energy doesn't belong in a shoebox. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes we get in the position where we try to compromise on our environment, when we try to get in the situations that don't fit our energy anymore. It could be a living situation, it could be a job, it could be a relationship, but at some point you overgrow these situations and you almost like you haven't caught up with it yet, and you put yourself in these situations and they limit you. So if we talk about a living situation, if, for example, you get an apartment that is like a shoebox and it has no space for you to unfold, and when I say to unfold, I mean energetically, right? So like your things don't fit there, you're having to have some of your stuff in your car, you're having to, like, everything is really cramped. How do you expect to do any of your best work out of those conditions? How do you expect yourself to have any inspiration whatsoever working out of that environment? How do you expect to actually get something inspired? Again, I repeat myself, but how do you expect to produce some really divinely orchestrated results in your life if you're putting yourself in a position where you can't even fit your energy in that space? Or you are stuck in the job where you know that it's so below what you are able to do, yet you are staying in that job just because you are afraid to move on to something else, because there's a safety, there's that security there, right? You know, and with choosing, I've made that mistake where I would live in a small apartment and it would just not fit my energy. As soon as I started living there, I noticed that there was no creativity, there was no forward momentum happening. Because why? Because I could not unfold my energy in that space. Creative energy requires space, right? What is our environment? Our environment, immediate environment, such as where we live, it's a masculine in our life, right? So this is something that holds that masculine part of you. So if you don't have that supporting your energy, you cannot be in your feminine if you don't have a good masculine to support that unfolding, right? So if your apartment or your house is like a shoebox and it's just impossible for you to do anything, any productive, any inspired work in any area of your life, whether you know, whatever your area is, right? Whether you're a content creator, whether you're a businesswoman, whether you are a businessman, whether you are, you know, even relationships won't work if you are living like that. I just had a lunch with a friend, and they live in a very small, she and her partner, they live in a very, very small apartment, and they're literally on top of each other. Like, and she said that she cannot do any work just because of the environment, right? They're stuck in this little environment and they're not able to actually work and do their work, and their relationship suffers, right? So sometimes we get in these situations where we have our logic, like our rational mind, tell us that, well, we need to like save money, right? Or like we want to get a smaller place because it's a smarter thing to do logically, so that we can, you know, save money or do this and this. But you also have to think about, okay, what is it costing you energetically? What is it costing you to be in a certain place, like super small, for example? If you can't create anything out of that space, if you can't better your life out of that space, right? You're not saving money at that point. It's costing you something. It's costing you much more money to stay in that place, because you're not even being stagnant at that point. You're actually moving backwards. You're actually moving backwards because you can't grow, you can't unfold, you can't create anything out of that space. And we have so many different excuses for that, right? We have an excuse of, oh, like, okay, we want to save money, or the economy is really bad, like we need to, be really mindful of money. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but I'm also saying that we have to think about what is it costing you to keep yourself in the environments that are really beneath you. What is it costing you energetically, right? I think this is very important. And then all these other excuses that we give ourselves, like, okay, well, if let's say, like, if someone is single, right, and they think, well, why would I be getting myself like a bigger space because it's just me, and people will be saying, like, why do you have this big house if it's just you, right? So they're worried about what other people would think about them. But I think it's important to remember that, let's say, if you invest in something like in your environment, like where you live, you have to think about it energetically, right? What are you gaining when you do that, right? So when you invest in, even if it's more money that you initially plan to spend on something where you live, but if you are getting, like, okay, all of a sudden you move to a bigger place, right? All of a sudden you're having more inspired ideas. You actually have ideas for doing something different with your business. You suddenly getting these ideas of, doing different type of content. You're suddenly having an ideas of, okay, I'm gonna go do and I'm gonna start this different workout routine. You're getting these ideas, okay, I'm gonna go to this place, and then things starting to click, like things start to unfold just because of that one decision. I know that when you are in a situation of a shoebox, it's impossible, right? It's stifling your energy, and it's not gonna allow you to get where you need to be. And again, this is a lot of people would disagree with that, just because their position is, okay, we need to really be cognizant of, what we spend, and we really need to, save money. And a lot of people are in the scarcity mindset. But I believe that you have to, your environment has to support who you are, right? If your energy doesn't fit in a small, tiny apartment, like a shoebox, then you cannot be there, because it will literally drag you down. If you are at a job that is literally beneath you at this point because your energy has expanded, and you know that you need to be doing something more, staying in this job, even though it might be giving you some security in the moment that you have this job and you have this paycheck, but it's literally costing you much, much more, because you could have been doing something more. This is like an energetic chokehold is the best thing that I can describe it, that it's literally not allowing you to move to bigger and better things, because you are being constricted to this particular size of energy, whatever it is, whether it's it's your living space, which is super important, whether it is your job, where it is your relationship, anything, right? And I'm not talking about, certain things that we can do in the moment temporarily. Like, for example, some places, like I can go to like a seedy bar with a friend. Like, I don't know, why would I want to, but I'm just saying that I could go there and I could be okay there, even though the environment is not my vibe, right? But I could be there potentially, because I would put myself and my friend in this bubble, energetic bubble, and we would still have a good time, even though other people may not be on the same energetic level. Everybody will be kind of to the side, but I would be able to hold that space, right? But it is temporary. Like, it is something that I can do for whatever this hour that we're there. But think about it. What will it cost you if you actually live in a place that is like that? Imagine that you energetically live in a place that it is like a seedy bar with all that energy, and you constantly have to energetically manage it, right? You constantly have to energetically manage your own energy. This is why you can't be creative in that space. That's why you don't have any inspired ideas, is because all your energy is actually going towards managing, energy management. Yeah, you're trying to manage your energy in a space that doesn't match who you are at this point, doesn't match the caliber of a person, the energetic vibration that you became, right? So this is what I've been thinking about, and I think that a lot of people don't have those really fast manifestations, really fast results, those really inspired actions, is because their environment is not supportive. And especially for certain people, like I'm a projector, so it's very important for me what environment I have. If I don't have right environment, I cannot be creative. And a lot of people are like that. Like, we get our energy from our environment. That's why it's so important. Like, we spend a lot of time in our home. So our home has to reflect the energy of who we are. It is key, right? And then of course everything else that you do, like energy in general, like when you go out in nature, like you ground yourself, all these things are super important. But stop trying to fit yourself in a shoebox for reasons that are not really good reasons. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, that it's not a reason to keep yourself in the shoebox trying to either save money or be a good girl or make sure that nobody judges you, because in the end, this is your own responsibility. Your energy management is your own responsibility. So you have to put yourself in a position where you can win, right? And a lot of people would say, okay, well, what if I can't afford to do certain thing? Like, okay, what if I can't afford to get a bigger place? Well, you certainly are not going to get where you need to go if you stay in the smaller energetically smaller space that doesn't let you expand. I mean, we already know what's going to happen there, right? If you stay in a environment that doesn't let you expand, whether it's your physical house, whether it's your job, whether it's your relationship, we already know what will happen, right? There's going to be no expansion. You're going to be stagnant, and you actually going to be declining in your growth, right? But if you, like, let's say you stretch yourself, right? So you get a house that is more expensive, maybe even more than you plan to spend, more than you can afford, but it will stretch you. It will stretch you to the point that you'll be like, okay, you know, I need to do something now, right? I need to be in a different energy. But also keep in mind that being in a different environment, like let's say you're in a much better upgraded house or you're in a much better job, well, the energy of that is different, right? So who knows what kind of content you're going to create out of that new house, what kind of business ideas you're going to have for your business, what kind of mindset you're going to have for your relationships, right? So that's very different. And same thing with your job. Like, if you are just being in the job for the sole purpose of being in your job and having the paycheck versus you expanding to something more, and you may not even know how to do that job yet, right? So you are there and you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm a little bit like shaky at what the kind of how big that position is, right? You need to fill those shoes, but it's much better to be in a position where you need to fill the shoes of something, right? Fill that energy. So you need to expand your own energy to fit into it, rather than you constricting your energy to fit into like this small space. Same thing with your house. If you are constricting your energy so that you can fit in the shoebox versus you in the bigger space, and yes, you may be like, oh my gosh, like, okay, this is like nicer than I thought it would be, and it is more expensive than I thought it would be, but then you have space to expand into it, right? You're becoming a different person as you're expanding into it, and then the money will come with that, the energy will come with that. But there's that period of trust that you have to have, that it will all come. Now, we all know what will happen if we don't do that, if we just stay stagnant and we stay in the shoebox mentality, right? Being in this small constricted space, we already know what's going to happen. So that's not even a question. But what can happen if we actually take that leap of faith? We get into the bigger space, we get to a new job, we start a new business, right? That is an unknown. That is something, that is where all the exciting, expansive things can happen, because this is the unknown, right? And that's the only way to expand. All right, thanks so much for watching. And I do have a free gift. I created this meditation that actually I've used myself, and I really enjoy it. It has to do with self-love, and it has to do with what you feel when someone amazing is coming into your life and how to attract it. So go ahead and check it out. It is in the description box, and I will see you guys next time.